All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're hopping into it. Game number 1 in our round 8 match is going to be another best of 3. The winner moves on to the qualifying match. Spine down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, we have the yellow Terran player from Team TES. Give it up for Soul. And his opponent spawning up here in the top right-hand corner of the map, the blue Protoss player from Team MYI. Give it up for FunK. Go ahead and tab back over really quickly. It is a bit of a weird situation right now. I was trying to tweet out to Team Liquid again to try and see if I could find someone who can attach us to Team Liquid. Someone to attach us to the TL calendar event. Again, if anyone knows anyone in the chat from Team Liquid that can do something like that, would be appreciated if you could just like shoot him a message or something. But alright, we got a Terran versus Protoss once again. FunK gonna be playing versus Soul this time instead of BCQT. Another TES player, so playing versus a teammate of BCQT, who I'm sure is gonna be giving a little bit of the lowdown to his teammate on how that last series went. But here's the thing, FunK didn't really do anything super duper strange besides, I guess, going for the early third expansions and everything, but it wasn't really an oddly timed early third expansion. It was just sort of, oh yeah, I mean, this is Protoss versus Terran. This is Dust Towers. Let me go for an early third. Invader going for the fast third. Maybe a little bit stranger, but definitely not the weirdest thing in the world that you might have seen in the matchup. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint, oh, what exactly went totally terribly wrong? What is there to exploit in how exactly FunK has been playing? But we'll see how Soul likes to play things out. Of course, every Terran player likes to play a little bit differently. People crying about the fact that I had the overlay set to 0 and 22 for a little bit. Do apologize for that. But here we go, Reaper moving around, and we did see FunK have a little bit of trouble dealing with the Reapers scouting around from from BCQT in that last series. So maybe going to be a window of opportunity again for the Reapers for Soul this time to get a nice scout out in, as the Adepts do have a bit of a hard time just covering it once, just completely by themselves. There was a Mothership Core. No Mothership Core made once again. So very similar to the game number 1 that we ended up seeing between FunK and BCQT. FunK once again opting to go for the fast Stargate, skipping the Mothership Core, just getting out as fast as possible, get up a really quick Oracle, and trying to get a little bit of damage done with it. And of course, Soul playing a little bit different from BCQT though, going for the starport immediately, also firing up that third command center, getting ready to transition to a bit of an earlier late game than BCQT. And I know I keep comparing this series to BCQT, but I feel like it's a really good parallel. We have the same first map, we have the same matchup. Of course, FunK going to be one of the same players, so there's a lot of parallels to draw, and you can kind of see the small little differences on maybe how Soul reacts to things and how he's going to adjust to maybe get into a better position than BCQT was. Now, of course, making sure that the Adept Warp Prism harassment that came out a little bit later, that may very well be coming out once again from FunK, since his build is looking almost completely identical, is potentially going to be able to get more damage done, but we'll have to see if Soul is prepared for it, because that was one of the things on the game in Dust Tower, that was really what brought FunK that victory in game number 1. It was the fact that he played a little bit greedy, but also went for a crazy amount of damage with that Adept Warp Prism harassment. Oracle getting some nice damage done already, killing off, you know, a worker that was building a barracks, getting a couple of Marine kills, just getting little bits and pieces of damage. I'm sort of surprised this Reaper's still alive. Maybe looking for opportunity to move back in, get a guaranteed scout on the third. Maybe even just trying to pull the Adepts out of position when the Widow Mines come in. That would be really cute. Looks like the Reaper gonna moving on to the third expansion. Is maybe gonna be able to find his way to the main base. No, Adept on the high ground does cut off its escape path. Mothership Core was eventually produced. Is not gonna be sitting on as much energy as it normally would, but still gonna have enough energy for 2 photon overcharges, and that's gonna be all it's really gonna need to deal with these Widow Mines. Of course, there's no pylon at this third expansion, but there's not a lot of probes there either. Really is gonna be up to worrying about the main base and the natural expansion. There's a single pylon over here, but it's not quite going to be covering the far corner of this area. Widow Mine's not going to be dropping too far away from the pylon though, and they are going to be getting a lot of worker kills. We're seeing 7 worker kills already. Now evening up that worker count, a single Widow Mine who lifts up and goes over to the third expansion, trying to get a couple more worker kills. FunK is not quite prepared for it, but he doesn't need to be just yet. The Widow Mine's still on a bit of a cooldown. Oracle going to be the only form of detection for the Protoss player for so far. Throws down a Revelation over the main base. Throws down a Revelation over the third expansion. Does have just barely enough energy, but gets both of the sentries and a few more probes. We're now up to 10 workers killed and 2 sentries. This has definitely not been the most ideal defense from FunK. A lot of things going much, much further wrong than his game on Invader versus BCQD, where that same sort of Widowmine drop came out. But he did a much better job of defending it over there. In that game, he only lost 2 probes, did the optimal defense that he could have asked for. This game is definitely not going so well. As you can see, 10 workers killed. Oh, resources lost tab. Definitely not favoring him right now. But maybe looking for an opportunity to get a little bit more damage done with that Oracle. Unfortunately, the Oracle used up a majority of its energy just trying to get the Widow Mines detected, make sure that he can kill those off as soon as possible before he actually got out an observer from the robotics facility. Now does have 2 observers out. He's going to be able to detect for any sort of Widow Mines for the remainder of this game. And finally getting out that that Warp Prism to get maybe some of that Adept harassment that he did in that first series done, but not quite sure if he's going to have the opportunity to. As now Soul moving out once again. He has 2 Liberators and 2 Medevacs full of units moving out across the map. Excuse me. Oracle moving around, still looking for an opportunity to get a little bit of damage done. There aren't any missile turrets over here in the third expansion. There's a missile turret in the main base and the natural, but that third expansion is still going to be a little bit vulnerable. Missile turret a bit further out, and there's not a ton of Marines at that third either. So there really is a potential for damage to be done, but, well, he's going to have to worry about the defense for now. The army very far out of position over that third expansion. I mean, in place to defend the third, which it does seem like going to be the first place for Soul to go into. Of course, these Liberators are going to make it very difficult to engage into this, especially considering there's no pylons really covering those Liberators, and there's not a lot of Stalkers over here. FunK very much caught out of position and out of the correct unit composition to deal with this army. This is already shutting down a lot of the mining over here at the third expansion. At the same time, Warp Prism moves in with the Adepts. Not quite going to be able to make a whole lot of damage happen over here. We do have 10 workers killed so far. So FunK not doing a terrible job with those Adepts, but there are a couple more units in the third expansion going to be ready and waiting for those Adepts, going to be able to push that Warp Prism back. At the same time, the army moves in over here for Soul, says, okay, did enough damage over the third. Let's see what damage I can do over in the natural expansion. First pylon gets focus fire down. The Adepts gonna be able to get in a little bit closer over here as the Liberators not quite as far defended, and the stock count has built itself up, so he is gonna be able to eventually clean up this army for Soul. Soul retreats on out, loses one of the Medevacs, loses the second Medevac. I believe also lost one of the Liberators, and now the last Liberator just sitting in the corner. I think FunK should know that it's there. Yeah, he does have vision of it as well, so he's gonna leave a couple of Stalkers over there ready and waiting to cover it in case it moves back in, tries to get a bit of damage done. As it does try to make its a grand escape away, but not going to happen. 4 Stalkers going to be there ready to intercept it. Warp Prism maybe looking for an opportunity to move back in. FunK still sitting on 71 workers, so he didn't take as much damage just comparatively to how many workers he's been making. He's been doing a great job of just powering out those that economy. But of course, so has Soul, even though he took a couple of worker losses to the Adept harassment, to the Warp Prism harassment, which isn't over by any means just yet. Warp Prism looks like it may be going down. Adept still getting a bit of damage done. Not a ton of damage, but, you know, whatever damage you can get done is definitely nice to have. Keeps the Oracle alive as well, able to get 6 kills so far on it. A couple of those are Marine kills. But doing a really great job of just keeping that Oracle alive. Regardless, both of these players sitting on very, very nice economies, and we're going to be seeing this game move to the later and later stages. High Templars are now coming out over here for FunK, Team MYI's Protoss player. Really going to be getting toward the late game stages with a lot of tech coming down all at the same time. We got Storm being researched. We got +2/+2 being researched. We have Charge coming out. We have a 4th expansion coming out. FunK is effectively just relying on the fact that, hey, these High Templars that I have right now are going to have Storm very soon, and those are going to be what I'm relying on for the defense. Revelation was thrown down on this army, but it looks like the Oracle did manage to survive as well. So really just doing a great job keeping that army, or that Oracle alive. It's something that most Protoss players really just don't do this late on. Normally at this point, they've maybe said, let me produce my second or third Oracle. You know, I've accidentally flown it over my opponent's army. I got a little bit over aggressive moving in, and ooh, actually, okay. So the Revelation is going to be very, very important because it allows him to set up for this position. Although it's not exactly the greatest position, he may be able to get a couple of Storms down. Storm is finished up, but some pretty good splits coming out. Oh, Oracle finally does go down, and there are so many Storms available for FunK, and he's getting a lot of damage done. And now the Medevac's caught a bit further back away from the army. All the Storms are gone now, though, and yeah, the big saving grace is that there's not really the ability to stim up anymore because all the Medevacs have been picked off. A singular Medevac now out and healing up this army, but is really not a whole lot. At the same time, FunK tries to charge on forward. The Archon's going to be a lot of that added tank ability, but it seems like after seeing that Planetary Fortress, he doesn't really feel comfortable moving on in. A single Liberator also going to help pull this entire army back. Couple more Stalkers being warped in. A decent number of High Templars also being warped in. It seems like FunK really just wants to wait until he has a couple more Storms available to do a whole lot. Oh, these Widow Mines getting a lot of kills. 40 workers killed so far. Single Photon Cannon eventually going to be cleaning up some of them. Oh, but a couple more workers go down before that happens. The Widow Mines moving a bit further forward. Are they going to be able to get some shots off on the Zealots? Not quite, but get a couple more worker kills for their troubles, for the little bit of extra effort. And it seems like that damage, that Widow Mine drop did a ton of damage, bringing FunK down from, I believe, 70-ish workers to 50. Not entirely ideal for FunK at all. I mean, he still has a decent-ish number of workers. He's not totally down and out just yet. 54 workers is still a fairly comfortable number of workers, but it's going to be kind of difficult to make this work. Ooh, here we go. FunK moving on in. Where are the High Templar? High Templar are lagging a bit further behind. There are some ghosts in the mix now for Soul. He's going to be looking for an opportunity to get those money EMPs. Get some big EMPs down on all of the Immortals, at least a majority of the Immortals. Gets an EMP down close to the High Templar, but not quite on top of, ooh, some good snipes going off. Does manage to snag 2 of the High Templar. Only 2 left, and looks like both of those go down as well. I think that we might have enough army over here for Soul to defend. Liberator's coming up, and that is going to be more than enough. He cleans up the army. He defends his 4th expansion and takes out a vast majority of the supply over here for FunK. FunK having fallen down in that worker supply, and also now losing a very, very expensive army full of Immortals, full of those High Templar, the Archons. I'm a bit worried. He's sitting very far down in supply. He's sitting 60 supply down. How in the world does he defend this? He was looking to be in a great position, was charging across the map, saying you don't have any medevacs, you can't even afford to stim anymore, but now suddenly he's the one on the defensive. 4th expansion now under attack. Single Phoenix maybe looking to hopefully clean up some of the drops that were coming in, hoping to clean up any of the Liberators that get a little bit too over aggressive without ground support, but no, gets taken out. And now the 4th expansion's mining is getting shut down. FunK also hoping to get up enough energy on some of these High Templars to get a couple more Storms out. Oh, uses 2 of the High Templar, or sorry, 4 of the High Templar to make a couple of Archons. Gonna lose out on a lot of the Storm potential, but I think he just needs it at this point. He's moving around the army, but here's the thing. As soon as his army moves around, this army for Soul, if it gets gotten to a weird position, you can just lift up into the medevacs and retreat down to the low ground, continue the pressure over there, but he doesn't even need to. He can take on this army. Murders it, and FunK effectively just fights with half of his army. GG gets called. Soul taking game number 1. Oh, that is not Soul Key. Do apologize for that. Aligulac pulling the wrong name for me. But Soul going up 1-0 in this best of 3 series. I'm gonna see if I can find the ability to host these games on the WCS mod, but ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna hop into a short little break as we hop into game number 2. I will see you guys in just a little bit. Please don't go anywhere. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are gonna be skipping the map intro as game number 2 is already waiting, as we are being spawning down here in the bottom right hand corner of the map on top of the yellow Terran player from Team TES. Give it up for Soul. And his opponent spawned down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, the red Protoss player from Team MYI, sitting down 0-1. Give it up for FunK. And of course, big shout out to TL Inflicted. I believe he favorited my tweet or something out to the Team Liquid Twitter, trying to get attached on Team Liquid to the event calendar. Big, much love to him, as I believe he is the reason that we're now attached. So, yay! But all right, ladies and gentlemen, game number 2, once again happening on Invader. This is just mirroring the BCQD series very, very closely, except the big difference is Soul managed to take game number 1, where his teammate BCQD could not. Now, there are going to be different spawns over here on Invader. Of course, in the last series, we ended up seeing, I believe it was vertical spawn positions, where we had the Protoss player up here in the top right-hand corner, Terran player down here in the bottom right-hand corner. So it's going to be a little bit different. This does lead to some better ability to drop. It's much, much easier to get those drops off and get a lot of damage done with them. Of course, that applies for both the Terran player that you would traditionally think of getting Widowmine drops off and everything, but also just the Terran or the Protoss player moving in with the Warp Prism harassment that we ended up seeing FunK really like to do in that first game. But first Adept being chrono boosted out. Everyone blaming my programming skills. Yeah, my programming skills not exactly the best. Let me see if I can actually adjust that. Let's see if I can get this working for the next one. I believe it should be hopefully corrected now, so it's not going to say Soul Key. It's going to actually say Soul. But we have a fast Stargate coming out once again from FunK, foregoing that Mothership Core. I guess he was pretty happy with the damage that he did with the Oracle. He didn't do massive damage, but he kept it alive for a very long time. He got a lot of valuable scouting information off. He got some good revelations off that gave him an idea where his opponent's army was. There was a pretty decent amount of value out of that Oracle. So I can't really blame him for trying to go for it again. Soul, of course, sticking to his guns, going for that fast starport, not opting for that very heavy barrack style that we ended up seeing BCQD go for. Or sorry, no, not yeah, BCQD. It was BCQD that went for that heavy barrack style. Of course, on this map, it's very difficult to get a whole lot of information with the Reaper, since there is really only this one singular pathway into the natural and the main base for the Reaper. So if you get zoned out by these Adepts, you're pretty much out of luck. Adepts looking around for that Reaper, not quite able to find it. Oh man, that would have actually been not the most frustrating thing. Just because the Reaper, I'm actually even surprised that Soul bothered to open up with the Reaper. Of course, he did lose a lot of his ability to scout since he scouted up to the north side first, but even in game number 1, we ended up, or the last series, we ended up seeing in this exact map, BCQD went for the Reaper. He got the first lucky scout off, but wasn't really able to make a whole lot happen with it because Much Corporals and Stalker were already out. But oh, Widowmine catching the Oracle. Soul saying, you're not going to keep that Oracle alive as long as you did in the last game. And here we go, charging across the map. At the same time, we have a fleet beacon coming down for FunK. So maybe looking to play out that sort of Tempest style that we end up seeing on Arena. This is something that I think I've seen Neve try to do on just any maps that have that short air rush distance. But I'm not sure if it's going to be able to come into play quite as fast as he needs it to, as the Oracles are now, or the Oracle is going to be very, very important to be able to reveal some of these Widow Mines. He's going to need to make sure that he actually has enough energy to reveal both of them, because these Widow Mines, if they split up a little bit more, oh man, he could do a lot. Oh, the Widow Mine almost gets a big connection off on a huge clump of the retreating probes. Doesn't quite get it though. Ends up getting a couple worker kills, 3 worker kills. Not the most amazing amount of damage, but Oracle is now out. It's going to be able to cast Revelation down on these Widow Mines, but no. Soul just backs on out. Now here's the important thing. He did not see the fleet beacon. He did not scout out the main base. He actually moves back in with the Oracle, trying to get a bit of damage done over there. Maybe just trying to waste some of that Oracle energy, making sure that he can't just move across the map and try and get more harassment done. That singular Oracle and the medevac still around as well. I like the fact that he very, very intentionally also got the medevac with that Revelation, making sure he can keep an eye on it. Even going to be able to sick that Oracle on it. Not a whole lot that the Widow Mine can do. This is going to take a bit of time to unburrow, and there's not a lot of anti-air over here besides the Widow Mine. But we take a look at where Soul is transitioning out from this, and there's not a ton out for him. He's got a decent number of bioforces out. He's not really looking to go for a fast 3rd expansion, similar to how he played it out in that last game. He does have a 3rd expansion up, or sorry, starting to build up, so I do take that back. He is going for a little bit faster for third expansion than he did in the last game, or the last series, which was not a third expansion. But he's going for a bit of a move out. He's going to have his first two medevacs, or sorry, not first two, but two medevacs joining him. But he's going to be really out of position to deal with the Tempest now. Two Tempests now out. A third Tempest not quite being started. In fact, we just see a lot of gateways being added on over here for FunK. So I guess just the two Tempests are all that he's really looking to do. Kills off the first missile turret. Is going to be able to get a little bit more damage done over here as he starts picking off some of these workers. Two Tempests are going to be enough to one-shot workers and just do that consistent damage. There's not a lot of defenses out over here for Soul. He's trying to get up some Vikings. He's going to try and get some damage done with his army on the other side of the map, but oh, this is going to get a bit scary because there's a lot of warp gates that just finished up, and FunK is going to have the potential to deal with this army, but it's just not quite yet. He doesn't have that massive number of warp-ins just yet. And he's taking a lot of damage over here in the natural expansion for the warp gates. Going to be depowered over here, and FunK is in a lot of trouble all of a sudden. It's just because his units came out a little bit too late. Adepts in the main base now trying to make their way over. The Mothership Core gets focus fired down, and Soul getting so much damage done. At the same time, the Tempests are getting a little bits of damage done, but you can see it's only 6 workers killed so far. Another missile turret finishes up. That's going to delay these Tempests from getting too much more damage done. At least delaying them from moving too far in. And they will be able to kill off that missile turret and get additional damage done, but Soul is still continuing to deny mining at the natural expansion, denying the warp-ins over here at that 4th, and look at the money build up for FunK. He's up to almost 1,200 minerals, 1,000 gas, because he just can't spend it. Finally, another pylon finishes up. He's going to be able to get a couple more warp-ins and start spending some of that money, and the probes being pulled. He goes down to 33 workers. And these Tempests, they just have not paid for themselves just yet. They've done a bit of damage. I mean, 7 workers killed. You might argue, okay, they paid for themselves, but they haven't paid for all the damage that he just took to the medevac drop that is still going on, as he's still just microing this, identifying, hey, all you have are just adepts. You don't actually have any stalkers. Your Mothership Core got picked off. There's not a lot that you can do if I just lift up in the medevacs and kind of continue to pressure. Even realize you only have 1 stalker. I don't have to be afraid of you. He's going after the pylons again, but at this point, I feel like FunK has lost off on so many workers. He's lost on so much mining that even if you shut down the warp, it's not actually going to affect him not that much anymore, because he doesn't actually have the economy to make use of it. At the same time, Widowmines in the main base continuing to rack up the worker kills, 2 and 9 kills respectively. We have the Vikings now getting in the mix. I think that this just might be it. Soul may be taking it as he moves across the map. FunK maybe gonna try to look for the counter damage over here. He warps in a lot of adepts on the other side of the map with this proxy gateway. It's turning into a quasi base trade, but there's one player sitting in a much better position than the other. Sure, there's not a lot over here at home for Soul to defend with, but honestly, I feel like you could just lift up, or lift up the supply depots, and he's gonna be sitting in a great position. GG is called. Soul ends up taking game number 2. Soul Terran, the Terran player Soul. Yeah, my script is totally broken, ladies and gentlemen, but that is gonna be it for that series. So big congratulations goes to Soul. Takes the series 2-0 and is now gonna face off versus Guru in the qualifying match for the WCS Spring Championship EU qualifier. It is a mouthful. But yeah, we are going to be hopping to a short little break as we get ready to hop into the next series. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to BaseTradeTV for your coverage for today. Of course, there are a lot of other streams that are up today doing additional coverage. There's, of course, the non-English streams like O Gaming, Take TV. But, of course, SC2 Improve, Wardy is one of the most amazing people ever. Pewee is also doing some coverage for the qualifier. So if you guys do not find the game that you're looking for coverage for, then go ahead and check out some of the other streams. You might get a little bit lucky, as there are more games happening than there are streams around. So, unfortunately, that's just sort of the way that works. But, of course, we're going to be hopping into that short break. I'll see you guys in a little bit, hopefully with the next series coming up.